Hey everyone, welcome back. I hope you've all been well. Today I wanted to go over the Annihilape Community Day that's coming up here in just a couple of days. This Sunday, it's going to be going on from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. local time, and it is getting an insanely powerful move. Annihilape, if you don't know, is a Pokemon that in the past has had a lot of play in the Go Battle League, in competitive play Pokemon tournaments as well, but it kind of went to the wayside after they nerfed Counter. They made it so it generated a lot less energy. Annihilape became a very slow Pokemon to reach its charge moves. But now it's getting a very strong attack here. Rage Fist is going to be a 35 energy, 50 base power attack that always raises your attack every time you throw it. It's a crazy move to give to Annihilape, and it's also a ghost type move, so a stab, damage, cheap attack to give to this Pokemon. I don't think that you really realize what this is going to do to it until you look at the simulations, see just how strong this Pokemon's going to be. I, for one, am terrified to see how the meta is going to shake out with this new fighting type Pokemon back into the meta. We're going to see a lot of Pokemon try to counter this, maybe Pokemon that pair well with this Pokemon. So let's take a look at what Rage Fist Annihilape is actually going to be doing to the meta. So over here on PvPoke.com, we can see a ranking of all of the Pokemon in the Open Great League. Now, Annihilape actually, funnily enough, is not just a Pokemon that's good in Great League, but it's also very strong in Ultra League and in Master League, so it is very important to get them for them too, but Great League is probably the most important format to have it for. It's the official Play Pokemon format. It's also where a lot of limited metas are going to be in, so we're going to focus on Great League in this video. But as you can see already, one thing we haven't even talked about is not only is Annihilape getting this charge move, but also Primeape is. Primeape is not a ghost type, it is just a strict fighting type Pokemon, which means it doesn't get stabbed from getting that Rage Fist, but having access to Karate Chop, a very high energy generation move, means that you get an attack boost every 4 fast attacks if you go straight Rage Fist, and it looks like here it is number 2 on PvPoke, right? The second best Pokemon in the simulations running Karate Chop, Rage Fist, and Close Combat. This is the non-Shadow Primeape. It's apparently going to be the best version on simulation, on paper, out of all of the 4, Annihilape and Primeape variations you can have. I don't think it's going to be the best per se, but I think it is going to be extremely scary, and you want to get one of your own if you can. So let's take a look at where the other Pokemon are that are getting this move. We can scroll down a little bit. Pangoro, it looks like, is going to be pushed down quite a bit. I think Pangoro is going to be very much useless after Annihilape is around. Well, I shouldn't say useless. It's going to have its uses. It's a better Pokemon into Shadow Gator. It's a better Pokemon as a Core Breaker, but it's much worse into Annihilape. Like, that matchup on its own is going to be terrible. You're taking super effective counter damage. You're doing nothing in return with your Karate Chops. So I think that Pangoro is going to see a massive drop-off here. Keeping on scrolling, we're going to see Shadow Primeape. Okay, so Annihilape's not even in the top 20 here, but I think that's going to be very misleading. I think, in my opinion, it's going to be an insanely powerful Pokemon, but Shadow Primeape, same moveset, Karate Chop, Rage Fist, and Close Combat. It's going to be a very offensive Pokemon. Imagine boosting your attack with the Rage Fist and then landing a Close Combat with a Shadow Primeape. That is going to do massive damage, because Primeape also is a very attack-weighted Pokemon. This is going to be able to sweep through teams if left unchecked. So let's keep on looking. Where is our Annihilape? Machamp is here at 24. I think that honestly Primeape probably just takes over Machamp's spot. Machoke even is above Annihilape. That's crazy. But we have Annihilape finally at number 36, which it looks like Rage Fist, Close Combat, and Counter as a fast move is going to be the moveset here. And we can see the key wins, the key losses. You actually end up beating Clodsire, the Poison-type Pokemon. They resist your fast move pressure. Rage Fist is so strong now, you can actually end up beating that. Obviously, you beat the obvious Pokemon like the Dunsparce, like the Dugong, but beating Gastrodon and beating Drapion as well, very neutral powerhouses in this current meta. Beating all of these Pokemon is a very scary thing to see. We can keep on going, see where Shadow Annihilape is as well on this list. It is all the way down at number 48. I'm not sure which one's going to be better. Shadow Primeape is probably worse than regular Primeape. I'm not 100% certain on that, but that's kind of my gut intuition there. With the Annihilape, though, I think that Shadow Annihilape could potentially be better than the non-Shadow. It has some interesting wins, right? Look at this. You end up actually winning against Mandibuzz, against Talonflame, two things that in theory are going to be around to try to check you, because you have Close Combat, you have the ability to boost your attack, and it doesn't matter if they resist you. If you just have such a high attack stat and you keep on boosting that with Rage Fist, it is going to be an incredibly hard Pokemon to take down. You can also see the counts here for Rage Fist and for Close Combat. It's always going to be 6 counters to get to that Rage Fist. It's going to be 8, 7, 8, 7 to get to Close Combat. So not that far off of what Annihilape used to be. The pacing is very quick, because that 35 energy move really makes up for the fact that you no longer have to get to that Shadow Ball to get that Ghost type damage. I really want to hammer home just how strong Rage Fist is as a charge move here. Here on PvPoke, we can look at a list of every charge move in the game, their damage, their energy, their effects, how efficient of a move they are just in general. I'm going to go all the way down to Ghost type moves to see where Rage Fist is. Alright, Rage Fist here. 50 damage, 35 energy, that's what I was saying, and a +1 attack, a guaranteed chance to boost your attack. I guess it's not a chance at that point. That means every time you use it, you're going to do 25% more damage with your fast moves and your charge moves. It is an incredibly powerful move, and we can compare it to the other 35 energy moves or potentially other buffing moves just to see how it compares to them. We can see Shadow Punch, right? It's another 35 energy move. Shadow Punch does 5 more damage. Only 5 more damage, and it doesn't boost your attack. Shadow Punch is considered a very strong move right now, a very solid 35 energy attack, and yet it is not anywhere near as strong as Rage Fist is going to be, because after you throw one Rage Fist, the follow-up Rage Fists are going to be even better than the first one that you throw. It is a very welcoming trade-off here for Rage Fist. I would much rather use this over Shadow Punch if I could. So what are other 50-35 damage moves? We can look at the normal type attacks here, because there is one very prominent one. Where is normal? I guess it's down here. And it's going to be Body Slam, Body Slam. So basically, we are going to have the clone of the move Body Slam, but it boosts our attack. Obviously, Body Slam did get nerfed in this current season, but still, it's a move that you see Gastrodon use, Licky Licky as well. Some Pokemon still use Body Slam. It does a decent amount of damage. And if you have Body Slam that buffs your attack, that is going to be insane. And this is not the only thing I want to compare it to, though. We have another boosting move in the game, right? The Power-Up Punch, which is another move that guarantees an attack boost, and it's also 35 energy. Where is Power-Up Punch at here on this list? Right here, Power-Up Punch is 20 damage, 35 energy, to do the exact same thing that Annihilape is going to do with Rage Fist, which is, once again, 50 damage. So you have almost, well, it's over twice as much damage as the Power-Up Punch here with Rage Fist. It is a crazy move to see that they're just going to give to one of the best typings in the game. Fighting and Ghost. That is a typing unresisted by any Pokemon that exists in Pokemon Go. Any Pokemon you fight either takes neutral or more from Ghost type damage or from Fighting type damage. That's what makes this so scary, and Fighting Ghost is a very strong defensive typing as well. So them giving this Pokemon that's already such a very strong pick, a very solid typing, they're giving it such a powerful move. I'm honestly scared for where this is heading here. I'm smiling through the pain at this point, because Annihilape in the past was a Pokemon I didn't like in the first place. I hated that it was very boost reliant with that Night Slash. Well, not even boost reliant, but the chance of the boost with Night Slash being a 1 in 8 chance of raising your attack. Now, you don't even have that 1 in 8. It's just a guarantee. Obviously, it's only 1 stage instead of 2 stages, but it is not looking very ideal for neutral play against this Pokemon. It can probably 2-shield through a lot of the meta, so we're going to take a look at what the damage is going to be on the PV Poke matrices here. What can Shadow Annihilape do to the Open Great League meta? Here, we'll check out the Zero Shield matchup first. I would imagine this matchup is going to be pretty good for Annihilape. We're going to compare the Shadow and the non-Shadow here, is what we're going to be looking at. The Shadow Annihilape in the zeros actually loses quite a few matchups. That's not super surprising, right? Because you don't have that much bulk here. If you end up no-shielding moves as Annihilape, you're going to get one shot. But somehow, the Shadow Annihilape actually picks up Wigglytuff of all things. You beat the Charmer, the thing that's supposed to beat you, you actually end up knocking out with close combat, so that's kind of funny. And you can see the records here, 19 wins, 14 losses for the regular, 15 wins, 18 losses for the Shadow. So in the zeros, it's definitely more favored for the non-Shadow Annihilape. Let's take a look at the one-shield matchup, see how it's going to change here. And it's much more even, right? We see 18 and 15 for both of them. It looks like you sacrifice Mandibuzz and Talonflame if you choose the regular Annihilape, but you actually lose to Clodsire as the Shadow Annihilape here. Obviously, Clodsire, it says you lose to it twice. That's just both movesets, both Stone Edge and Sludge Bomb, which don't really matter here because you're going to Earthquake it anyway. You will end up losing to Clodsire. But, I mean, picking up both Mandibuzz and Talonflame, that's actually pretty good for the Shadow. And in the 2 shields here, we can go and see where this is going to look. And the Shadow actually, once again, in the 2 shields looks a little worse. We see that you pick up the Ariados, which honestly is one of the more common fighting type answers in the game right now. You pick up non-Shadow Feraligatr, which is going to be one of the Pokemon that will be tricky to deal with, saying it has Shadow Claw, Fast Move Pressure, it'll do a lot of damage to you, but you will actually just power your way through the non-Shadow, and it looks like also the Shadow, both of them can beat. Then Clodsire is going to still be a loss. Marowak, Shadow, so the Cantonian Marowak that has Mud Slap and Bone Club will in fact knock out the Shadow Ape, but the regular Ape actually survives and is able to knock out the Marowak itself. Shadow Quagsire as well is a loss for Shadow Ape, and so is Toxapex. So the more I'm looking at it here, the more I'm kind of thinking maybe the Shadow Annihilape is just a little bit too much attack. There's a good chance here that the regular Annihilape could just be what comes out on top. With that said, though, I think it's important to have the Shadow. So if you saved a Shadow Annihilape, or Shadow Mankey rather, from the last Team Rocket event, make sure you evolve that during this event. There's really no reason not to, right? You want to get Rage Fist. It's an insane move, as we've already talked about. So make sure you have one, even if it's not going to be the better of the two. It still could be, right? I think the simulations only show so much. If you set up your Shadow Annihilate perfectly, then having the ability to boost and to close combat things as the Shadow Ape could still be crazy. But yeah, my gut's saying, I guess right now, maybe the non-Shadow Ape is the way to go, but only time will tell. And as I was saying, it is not the only Pokemon here with that funny move known as Rage Fist. We can go over to Primeape, its pre-evolution, and see exactly what it is going to do to the meta as well. Remember, the non-Shadow Primeape here actually did sim as the second best Pokemon in the entire Open Great League meta right now. So let's see why. What exactly does it look like if we simulate it here? Well, this is interesting, actually. We see that it looks like there's a lot more wins for the Shadow Ape in the Zero Shield matchup, probably because close combat's probably just one-shot things a lot easier than the Primeape does. We can see it's a 20 and 13, 20 wins, 13 losses in the Open Great League in the Zero Shield matchup with Shadow Primeape, and 17 and 16 with the regular Primeape. We win against Ariados, against Carbink, Chestnut, Gastrodon, Malamar. Beating Malamar is actually kind of huge. That's one of the Pokemon I'm expecting will be trying to counter these new fighters, and Wigglytuff as well. Wow, okay, so the Zero Shield matchup, kind of actually crazy here for the Shadow Primeape. You beat Ariados, you beat Malamar, you beat Wigglytuff. That's insane. Those are three of the best answers to fighters in the meta right now. Being able to beat them is going to be very important. Obviously, this is a Zero Shield scenario. If they shield once, I'm sure those matchups definitely are going to switch in the favor of the supposed fighting type counters here, but we'll have to see how they go. So it seems like the Zero's a little bit better actually for the Shadow Primeape. The one's very neutral, 21 and 12. It's only getting better here, it looks like, for the Primeape, both Shadow and non-Shadow. The only difference in the ones is that you actually end up winning Superior as the Shadow, but you lose Talonflame. I guess you just get incinerated down, which does make sense because you're pretty squishy. Then in the two-shield matchup, we can take a look at it. Where does this end us up? And the two-shield, once again, just kind of strictly better for the Shadow. We end up beating the Clodsires somehow, both movesets, which is actually very important, because if you would lose to the Sludge Bomb Clodsire, but win against the Stone Edge Clodsire, that could make it a little bit annoying to try to see if you can win that matchup consistently. But knowing that despite the moveset here, if they're running Sludge Bomb or Stone Edge, you always win the two-shield as the Shadow Primeape, that's huge. I think that Shadow Primeape is the way to go. If you have a good Shadow, maybe keep it as the Shadow Primeape. I don't know. I'm hoping you guys just have two Shadows to have both a Primeape and an Annihilape here, but this Pokemon is going to be crazy. Make sure that you can get yours this weekend. Once again, it's on Sunday that you can get this Annihilape. I am very interested to see what it's going to do to the meta. What Pokemon are going to rise up to beat it? What Pokemon are going to pair well with it? We'll have to see. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching today's video. I stream my battles basically every day at twitch.tv/ItsAXN, so if you want to see any Annihilape or Primeape gameplay, I'm definitely going to be using them after the meta shakeup happens here, after this community day, so make sure to check me out, twitch.tv/ItsAXN. I start 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern. I'd love to see you there if you want to see these battles. It's going to be a very fun time having a new Pokemon, although as I've said throughout this video, I'm a little bit scared of what this Pokemon might be able to do. Alright, well, thanks again for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.